But what keeps me going, what keeps me energized, first and foremost, as my wife would say, is our belief system, is our faith in the higher power, in the fact that every day we get up is a blessing.
That's right.
And to no matter what, try to find the good in today. As a matter of fact, not just try to find it, but try to be the good, of the day. If not for anybody else, at least be it for yourself.
That's right.
Because there's so many blessings that we can count. Just being able to see, being able to walk, being able to think, breathing, all these very, very basic kinds of functions, but they're really blessings. And so I know somewhere out there in the world, someone is doing worse than me. And when I see it out there in the street, I say, there but by the grace of God go I.
Hello everybody, I want to welcome you guys to another episode of Trade Secrets by Tripletote. Today we have a very dynamic guest on our podcast and we're lucky to have him share his story. His name is Kelvin Lovejoy. He represents with full heart the city of Hartford, and he's here to tell us about how he's helping out the youth every single day. How's it going, Kelvin?
I'm doing good, brother, and how's everything?
Everything is great, man. I'm glad to have you on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Now, for those who don't know you, for all the work you do in the community, let's bring them up to speed. Now, you originally, where you're from?
I was born in New York City, but I was raised here in Hartford, Connecticut.
Nice.
Mainly on the north end.
Okay. So what high school did you end up going to?
I went to Weaver High School, class of 1985.
Oh, man, I'm going to get a little trouble since I went to Hartford High. Just a little trouble.
That's all right.
I don't know who got the lead on the turkey games, but who's keeping count?
You know what? We just used to go to have fun.
That's the best. Now, at the Weaver, what'd you do next? Did you head off to school? Did you immediately jump into helping out youth?
I actually jumped right into the world of work. I didn't go to college right away. I did different jobs. Actually, I used to work for the phone company coming out of high school, and a couple of different positions from there. I was in corrections actually for a few years, and then as I tell my story to the young people that I work with, I left corrections because I wanted to work with people who still had a life versus people who had life.
Understood.
And I was working at the maximum security prison here in Connecticut. Up in Enfield, and then I left that and went right into youth development, and I've been there ever since.
Wow. So when you first got into youth development, I know in some respects you felt like it would at least be easier, but when you actually got into it, what did it feel like to be helping out youth? Just even that first season, that first year, helping out youth, what did it feel like?
Actually, it felt quite natural. And what I mean by that is, I can identify with the young people that I work with because their story is very close to my own story. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Growing up in the inner city, north end of Hartford, single mom, no dad, economics struggles and so forth, and just living in these neighborhoods that were very deprived. And so when I jumped into this work, I found young people who were living very similar types of existence that I came from. So it just felt like I was giving back in terms of the work that I do. And I still feel that way today.
That's awesome. The thing that I notice when you're working with young people is that they always renew and refresh, because a lot of the symptoms that, of poverty that we face, there's still something about being young that imagination is in play.
That's right.
The innocence is there.
Yes.
And then we're just trying to be protective of that energy to say, hey, you can really slide through this poverty thing, maybe get to college or maybe get to a job and make it out.
Yep.
And so you're really helping funnel kids out of the situation. Now, what is the name of the organization you represent, just for the audience out there?
Mm-hmm. So currently I work for Blue Hills Civic Association, also known as BHCA, as we are building Hartford through community action. And I've been with the agency now about 15 years.
Wow. Now, when you first started encountering youth, you're going back to like maybe in a more difficult time than now, right? Like when we're talking about gangs, we're talking about,
all of those things existed.
The 90s.
Yeah.
It was a little different.
It was definitely different. There were no cell phones, no smartphones.
Right.
Video games were not as quite as virtual as they are today. Many different things. I actually came up doing this work before the crack era. So I saw a lot of stuff that, was different.
That's right.
And the change that our community went through and our families and our young people eventually went through.
It's amazing how that thing went through just like a wave. Of course, it did not feel like it when you were in it.
Yeah.
It could feel like sometimes in land of like zombie land, to be honest. Like, there's certain pockets that I won't mention because they've been reformed now.
Right.
But there's certain pockets, even when I grew up, that you would just see nothing but drug addicted people trying to make it through the streets early in the morning, trying to walk to school, and it was dark.
That's right.
It was really dark, and even our youth are so vibrant today. They are definitely proof that the future is going to be much better than the past was.
We are extremely resilient, if nothing else.
Yeah. Nowadays, when you're encountering youth, what are the main things they're interested in? Like, what are the main things they're about?
So, I have been working with young people now 25 years plus, and probably every 5 years or so, things seem to change. This particular, in 2020, the group of young people that I work with, they're an older group. So I have 10 of them who actually work for me, learning community organizing, and they are 18 to 25-year-olds.
Wow.
And, their view is very different. They're going through a lot of things. The way that they see the world is different. The way that they express themselves is different, even in the midst of some of the same old situations that still exist in our community. But, young folks, they want to have fun. They want to socialize with their friends. They want money, and they want to make sure that their cell phone is working.
Understood.
Yeah.
Now, without giving away any names, can you name for us just like one of the stories of one student that you noticed going from a starting point to actually excelling and becoming really, really, really dominant in the community, or really successful in a career as a result of you just working with them?
A lot of our young people are still works in progress. Right. But the group that I currently work with, which is like my core team, I have long-standing relationships with them. So again, they go from 18 to 25-year-olds, and I think about one of my leaders who's 18, and I've known him since he was 3.
Ooh.
Okay, and been in his life, and I'm very proud to have him work for me. Sharp as a tack, graduated high school at 17.
Wow.
Just got a job at the insurance company. COVID-19 slowed it down, but he's still working and training to be a community organizer, and there's nothing but potential in front of him. I have 4 young ladies who are part of our group who are in college, and they come right up out of Hartford schools, right up out of journalism and media, to be more specific.
That's right.
And so it wasn't so long ago there was so much negative press about that school, but I'm looking at like 4 shining stars that are just full of potential.
That's right.
College students. And so others are, just graduating high school. I have 2 of those. And, COVID-19 really did a number on that situation in terms of graduation and prom and all that other good stuff. But I'm just proud of my young people in terms, again, their resilience and their perseverance.
Yeah, I think what I love about this generation is that they're advancing and coming together regardless of race, socioeconomic, right? Like when I look at my nephews and the friends, even sometimes the little girlfriends they have, the diversity of the friends they have versus ours, especially coming from like Hartford High was a little bit diverse because we had the West End and the South End,
right?
But definitely North End Weaver was like West Indian mainly, right, and African American Black. But nowadays, man, there's the whole gamut from Indian, Spanish, Asian, and my freaking nephew was in school at the Capitol High School. That's on Asylum, and playing golf. And then I spoke to one girl at a class in Hartford High, and she had a horse, and I was like, "You own a horse?" You know what I mean? Like these are just like the signs that this generation is more diverse, more prepared, and definitely life is in a better place. I definitely appreciate the idea that I met you through a connection, and now we're working on an initiative, right? The initiative Worldwide Voices.
Yes.
From your own point of view perspective, what type of things are you looking forward to from the Worldwide Voices platform?
I'm really excited about Worldwide Voices from the standpoint of, giving youth an even broader platform to be able to exercise their voice, which is extremely important to us when we talk about organizing. We want our young people to be able to have the autonomy to talk about things that's on their mind and things that are impacting them from a broader global perspective. So, we talk about so many diverse topics when I'm with my group. Sometimes they can be like walking CNN or other, news stations because the news never goes off.
That's right.
And so I think probably one of my greatest expectations is just that our young people are able to exercise their voice.
Yeah, and me personally, just having seen a lot of media, I don't really like how the news is curated. Like you can tell them, hey, I'm opening up a new youth community center. Right. And they'll be like, you know what, we're going to put you on Thursday nights or the weekend because they know the eyeballs are low and the news traffic is low. Like, so I'm doing something positive, and you're telling me before you even consider putting it out that you're making sure you're going to put it where the viewers are not, so that you can put the negative things and catch as many eyeballs during the week, from in prime time. That's crazy, and that's why I'm also excited about the program because they're not going to be able to put it on a schedule. You're going to have to deal with the fact that all of our youth are doing something positive and they're talking about it. And I love it. I love it so much. I love it so much. Now, let me ask you, for our viewers, listeners, and readers, what are types of things that individual people can do and contribute that can really contribute to the cause of moving Hartford youth forward?
I think one of the first steps is just be open-minded. I come from a generation, and I'm sure you were affected by it as well, when, adults told young people to be seen and not heard.
That's right.
And so I think the first step that any of us can do as adult allies is to give them a platform and give them the opportunity to speak and exercise that voice, to empower young people in ways that, in the past was not necessarily seen as an opportunity. But today, if young people have the opportunity to speak, they should take that opportunity to speak.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Now, let me ask you, people people. No, people comment, when they mention your name about your resilience and just energy. Like, he's always positive. He's seen the worst of it, still always positive, always hopeful, always optimistic. What are the key things that you keep in your mind and your spirit, or even the key, routines that you keep in play that allow you to keep your head up and stay positive, even when you see some of the worst things when it comes to our youth?
Definitely. And I appreciate that, brother. It's not often that people ask, about that perspective of your life and work, really. But what keeps me going, what keeps me energized, first and foremost, as my wife would say, is our belief system, is our faith in the higher power, in the fact that every day we get up is a blessing.
That's right.
And to no matter what, try to find the good in today. As a matter of fact, not just try to find it, but try to be the good, of the day. If not for anybody else, at least be it for yourself.
That's right.
Because there's so many blessings that we can count. Just being able to see, being able to walk, being able to think, breathing, all these very, very basic kinds of functions, but they're really blessings. And so I know somewhere out there in the world, someone is doing worse than me. And when I see it out there in the street, I say, there but by the grace of God go I. So I just try to keep my head up, brother. And you're right. We do see some tragic situations.
That's right.
I also work with the Community Safety Coalition, of which BHCA is a part of, and so we're out there when there is a crisis, when there's a shooting or an assault, especially of a young person. We act as a liaison between the hospital, the police department, and the family. And so seeing that stuff sometimes, you can't help but be taken aback.
That's right.
And say, where does the trauma end?
Yeah. No, I understand. That is, it's hard. It's hard to imagine. Let me say that. It's hard to imagine being face to face with that, and from youth that you help and you give your heart to, and sometimes it just doesn't work out, and that is unfortunate. For people out there, our listeners, our viewers, our readers, if they do want to get involved, if they do want to help, and this is inspiring them to just get off the couch or whatever, or just to continue, even if they are doing good, to expand the good that they're already doing, where can they contact you? How can they reach you to find out more about helping?
Well, I'm always in the streets, as they say, but you can find out, first of all, more information about our organization at bluehillscivic.org.
Okay.
bluehillscivic.org. My email address is lovejoyk@bluehillscivic.org. I would say call my office, but I'm not there. I'm in the streets. But I can be reached directly through my cell phone, 860-833-4288. And I'm out there, brother. I'm out there trying to make it happen and creating new leadership amongst our young people.
That's right. Well, Kelvin, I definitely appreciate you coming to do the podcast today.
Thank you.
I appreciate the work you do. I had Eddie Brown on the podcast, the last episode.
Yes.
And like I tell him, man, you guys are in the trenches, in the streets, doing the work that nobody sees behind the scenes. You're community organizer, you're a therapist, you're a big brother, you're a father to some.
Indeed.
And you guys deserve to be highlighted. And I'm glad that I got to meet you guys and that we're working together.
Thank you.
Hey, and thank everybody for tuning in to this episode of Trade Secrets by Tripletote. And we will bring you another great guest, just like Kelvin, next week. Have a good day.